The best of Money Matters. The Big Story.
Welcome to The Big Story. I'm Hongbin Jeong. Now, here are some developments and updates regarding Israel and Hamas, as each are ratcheting up allegations that the other party has violated the ceasefire deal. Now, it's only been 3 weeks into this fragile ceasefire. So far, 16 out of 33 hostages scheduled for release in the current phase of the agreement have been freed by Hamas, and 656 Palestinian prisoners from a list of nearly 2,000 have been released by Israel. But the weekly exchanges may now be disrupted after Hamas accused Israel of violating the agreement. And as a result, Hamas says it would postpone Saturday's hostage release until further notice. Now, Israel has hit back, with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying late Tuesday that the Gaza ceasefire will end if Hamas does not release hostages as planned on Saturday. U.S. President Donald Trump, whose envoy helped, mediate the agreement along with officials from Egypt and Qatar, has suggested dismissing the multi-stage approach of the deal altogether and giving Hamas an ultimatum to release all the hostages at once. So, what are each side saying, and where could the deal go from here? Well, here's a breakdown of the key events that happened this week. Starting Monday, Hamas threatened to postpone the next hostage release. This after accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire deal by targeting Palestinians with gunfire in various parts of Gaza, delaying the return of displaced people to the heavily bombarded north, and not allowing the agreed humanitarian aid to enter the enclave. Now, the militant group also accused Israel of delaying the entry of essential medicines and hospital supplies, as well as not allowing tents, prefabricated houses, fuel, or rubble removing machines into Gaza. Now, the following day on Tuesday, the Gaza Health Ministry said that 92 people in the enclave had been killed in Israeli military operations since the ceasefire came into effect. A diplomat with knowledge of the ceasefire talks told CNN that the United Nations, Qatar, and other countries had requested to deliver temporary shelters to Gaza, but Israel turned them down. So in a later statement, Hamas added that there was still an opportunity for the release to go forward as planned, saying that Israel has sufficient time to fulfill its obligations. But that postponement has not set well with Israel. Now, Israel says delay is complete violation of the ceasefire deal, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a meeting with his political and security cabinet on Tuesday where they expected next steps, in which the military has been instructed to prepare at the highest level of alert for any possible scenario in Gaza. And Israel military also said it was raising the level of readiness in southern Israel and that it would reinforce the area to enhance its readiness for various scenarios. Now, those announcements also come after Israeli forces opened fire on Sunday in the eastern areas of Gaza City, close to the Gaza border, killing 3 Palestinians, according to Palestinian authorities. Now, doubts about the future of the deal also follow Israel's condemnation of the gaunt, frail appearance of the hostages released last week as so-called shocking. Now, how has U.S. President Donald Trump, who's been mitigating this, said about the issue? Well, he has urged Israel to let all hell break out and cancel the ceasefire and hostages deal if Hamas does not return those still being held in Gaza by Saturday. Now, Trump added that all hostages ought to be returned, not 2 or 3 in drips and drabs, which is the phased manner of releases outlined in the deal. Now, pressed about what he meant when he said that they would cancel the ceasefire might entail in Gaza, Trump said, "You'll find out and they'll find out. Hamas will find out what he means." Now, President Trump's call for all hostages to be freed by Saturday is now threatening a ceasefire, which was fragile from the start. Members of Israel's government have seized his warning as an opportunity to end a deal that they never liked. So according to reports by BBC, so far, Prime Minister Netanyahu, he seems to be trying to keep his options open, and members of his security cabinet emerged from their 4-hour meeting yesterday, repeating President Trump's ultimatum. But the Israeli leader only said our hostages had to be freed, not all. Egyptian and Qatari mediators, along with other players, are certain to do what they can to prevent a collapse. Now, President Trump, who vowed to be the president who stops war, not start them, may have more to say say as the consequences of his comments become clearer. Now, there will also be pressure on Hamas, which first raised questions about the ceasefire by accusing Israel of violating its terms, and the deal requires it to release the names of the next 3 hostages by Friday. Then it will be Israel's move. Now, the pressing question remains, though, how likely is a ceasefire to hold? Well, according to reports by CNN, in short, no one knows. It took about a year of negotiations to reach the current deal, and the first ceasefire in November 2023 lasted about a week. And the current agreement is set up to progress in 3 distinct phases, the first of which is already halfway through. Now, as well as the release of 16 hostages so far, phase 1 has seen the entry of more humanitarian aid and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from parts of Gaza. Now, the Israeli military has retained its presence along Gaza's borders with Egypt and Israel has to date released around a third of nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners agreed for the exchange, some of them held without charge and others facing life sentences. And those are your latest updates on the developments that's been happening so far regarding the Gaza ceasefire. We'll keep you informed for further updates in Gaza right here on Money Matters, only on Money FM 89.3. This has been The Big Story.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.